Okay, I'd just like to make this quick video, right, explaining what's going on here, you know. Well, basically it's like this, yeah, this follow-up video to the better information means better care, or as I think it's really about, better information means better lies. You know, the NHS and whoever wrote this document, I believe, is lying, you know, and I'm going to ask them for proof and full disclosure, right, because this is only some of the information, okay, and also I've got a choice, don't I? I've always got a choice. We've all got choices. That's how freedom is, isn't it? Having a choice. Okay, we're being lawful, we're asking a question. But what I'm actually saying is they don't like to answer these questions anymore. Right, here's your standard kind of opting out form, right, where you're supposed to put these information. So you're already giving them information, but why must I opt out to something? There's that C. Stacy that my friend was on about, yeah. Okay, page 1 of 1. Great. Staff use only. This form must be handed to the practice manager. So they're not even really doing anything. They're always practicing, or, you know, pretending, playing, you know, acting, practicing. How many places use the word practice? I mean, you've got dental practice. So they're practicing on your mouth to see if they can get it right. That's what the word practice means, doesn't it? Yeah, then you've got doctors, they practice. Oh, you've got law as well. Everybody's practicing, you know, like the wizard or something out of Harry Potter, you know, and eventually they'll get the right spells and they'll be able to call themselves a great wizard or sorcerer, you know. Anyway, I'm digressing there, a little bit of humour, or not. Right, this is the receipt I got the other day. Okay, but I was looking at it and I thought, well, hold on a minute, because they got a receipt book in the NHS. But if you look at some of this information here, like received from, and then the sum of, amount in words, and then balance outstanding, they've got a pound sign. You see the pound sign? Money. Pound sign means money, doesn't it? Right. Then you've got amount in words again. So the sum of, so this receipt is really referring to some type of business. But hold on, isn't the NHS paid for already by your taxes? Huh? Is that why you pay tax? Why do you pay tax? Why do you pay tax? Ask yourself. Many thanks. Don't ask questions. Many thanks. Yeah, received by. It was Jackie that actually took it. But I want to know, you know, because I had did this one, and I'm also going to be sending one recorded delivery for them, because, you know, that's just the way I do it. Yeah, we have to have access to lawful remedy at the end of the day. So a receipt, this is proof of business. Do we have a conflict of interest in the NHS already? You know, something that's already paid for, yeah, then you're having to pay again. Cash, check and credit card. All are welcome. Please tick the appropriate payment method. So I guess they've got a credit card facility in there, you know, all set up lovely, ready to go for this. Better information means better prices. Yeah, can sell it, you know, in Tesco and all the rest of it. Or can you? Or does the law really actually allow you to do that? You know, does the law, Mr. What's his name again? The Right Honourable David Cameron, does it? I don't know. I'm asking him. He's supposed to know, isn't he? Yeah, he's a good, decent bloke. Is our Mr. Cameron. You know, he understands what a duty of care is, and he also understands what human rights are. And I'm sure he understands what the Data Protection Act is all about, really. You know, and I'm sure he understands what consent and informed consent is, and full disclosure. I'm sure he understands all of these things. You know, it's his life every day. You know, he's signing contracts. He's got people there, and even if he doesn't know, I'm sure the amount of time he's been there, right? Because some of us have only been studying some of these things, you know, for the past few years, but we've already got answers, haven't we? So anyway, doctors, nurses, specialists, all council government, all third parties, or anyone working on behalf of this NHS, trust. There's that word again, trust. Does anyone know what trust means anymore? You know, because we're also talking about trust law, you know, and that's basically a breach of trust law, I think. This, because, you know, just because it's difficult for them to get a signature of everybody so they can get the actual permission from everybody, you know, that's too bad. That's not the way that the law works. I'm sorry it's difficult, you know. Rome and all that wasn't built in a day, as they say. It takes time to do things, and if that thing is supposed to be a good thing, it'll be worthwhile doing. I mean, because how long has it taken to build up the NHS? Yeah, how long? How long before HISIC? I mean, HSCIC, or is it Group 4? I'm not sure. I think it might be Group 4. Based on what happened to me today, it probably is Group 4. Because as I'm telling people about this information, you know, the security guard in the job centre just walks over, bowls over and says, can you stop doing that, please? I'm like, what are you on about? I says, I'm just telling people about that, the NHS, you know, and in fact, you should know. He comes with his belligerent self. I should stop doing that. You know, he's going to throw me out. I said, excuse me, mate, don't interfere in my freedom to speak. Yeah? And you see, sometimes what these people don't realise is I was always on their side. I still am. I'm trying to help them avoid these pitfalls, because really it's getting to the point where everybody who's involved in a public office is going to go down for treason. Them versus us, because they want to keep their job, you know, at all costs, at all expenses. So what is the remedy if a government completely ignores its duty of care to its people, right, for the sake of working towards some targets that are nothing to do with the humanity of things, nothing to do with the human rights? Why is it they keep flipping out when I mention to them, excuse me, what about my human rights? They start having like little heart attacks and things like that, panic attacks. I'm not realising that I'm the one who's stressed out by all of this, because they keep doing this, and I'm saying the reason I'm saying you should not be doing it is because of human rights. These are laws. The laws. Stop inventing and living in your own world. It's exactly what Mark Passio says. People just want to believe that it is a certain way. You know, they have this filter in their mind and say, you know, I don't want to think of the world as being like that. So it's not. The world to them is, you know, lovely, and everybody gets what they deserve. But, you know, you got people not realising they're being subjected to a form of brainwashing. Everybody's got the right to do this and write their own fee schedule and their own notice. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. So, listen, anybody who gets this as a duty now, by law, to make sure that everybody gets a copy of this. They have to. It just has to be done. Otherwise, they've not done their due diligence, you see. And never mind saying that these people won't get it, because they'll all get their own individual copy. I've got to obviously now do work, because these people have said if I don't opt out, they're going to do something with my information I don't want them to do. So you've created work for me, haven't you? And slavery is illegal, immoral, and unlawful. So nobody works for free, and nobody is a slave to anybody. Okay, so I'm not a slave to these people, particularly the NHS, who are public servants. Therefore, they're serving us, all of us, the public, to help us, you know, live better lives. When they use words like better information, well, the word better and care should really just be together. Better care, that's what they should be saying. Better care, not better information means better care. Because if you care, don't you? You don't have to have a load of information to care. Oh, what's his name? Where's he come from? You know, did he go to what school? You know, how many kids has he got? Does it really matter? Isn't it supposed to be universal care for all? Hey? That's why these people, they don't really know who they are. And we're trying to show them, you're becoming a business. Yeah? And your mind is like the mind of that guy in The Merchant of Venice, Shylock. You're looking for a pound of flesh. Yeah, you've created a monster, an administrative monster that cannot be stopped by the reasoning that created that administrative monster. We have to stop using that reasoning and come to a better reasoning. It's time for the human race to grow up and realise that ideas like money are immature. You know, when you use words like relationship, whether it's relationship to patient or whatever, they don't have any idea what a relationship is or a family. You know, they've lost family values. They've lost humanity, certainly, because when I say, what are human rights? They have panic attacks. So like I say earlier today, you know, Group 4 security, working at the job centre, made it their business to interfere when I'm just talking to people because I see it as my duty. I'm asking people, have you got this leaflet? And I didn't make this leaflet, you know. I didn't make it up. You know, Kev's got one, I've got one. It seems, why are only certain people getting this information? Is it because they know I already know? Is it because they want to wind me up? I think probably some of that. But also the fact that, you know, they don't really want people to know. They don't. Because then people can do this, can't they? Start sending them documents. Yeah? This doesn't just have one page, you know. Right. And this is going out to all of them. Yeah? Listen, they need to read their Bible, because I think that's a serious problem with them. You know, they've lost any idea what morality is. You know, their definition of morality just doesn't fit with what even the law says. And the law's a weak version of the Bible. Yeah. Judge not lest ye be judged. Well, how many times are they judging me? Right? Now they're getting judged. That's what it's going on to. Because you've got to accept. Right? If there's a patient opt-out form, then we got that choice, haven't we? But are they giving us an informed choice, or are they making sure only certain people get this information? What information should we really be bothered with? Is it your information, which is very important, or the information that they're not disclosing? You know, such as Halliburton, military contractors, yeah, buying up things. Because, you know, it's a shop, innit? It's a receipt. There's a receipt. Many thanks. Money. Pound sign. Yeah. So, better information really means more control. It means things like death panels, as I've said earlier, because they'll be deciding based on... You see, these HSCIC, as you'll see from the other video, right? They make the decisions. Health and Social Care Information Centre, they're health resource management. That's what they are. You know, they manage the resources and decide if that money is going to get spent. That's what they really are. But they're using subtle language so as not to alarm you, so as to make you think, oh yeah, everything's lovely, hunky-dory. Right. Ask yourself this question then. If it's so hunky-dory, right, and if your organs are making money and being sold on the stock exchange as a derivative, yeah, you got your kidneys, they're worth 60 grand, and you got your liver worth 120 grand by today's prices, let's say, and I know it's in some cases worth a lot more than that, then in 10 years or 20 years or whatever, the price goes up, will you be able to afford to keep that liver? Will you? Are they giving you full disclosure? You know, if you don't, say, opt out of the organ donation scheme, yeah, they could do the same thing with that next. And then, you know, because I've already heard them say this. The governments in the past have already said these mental things. They're insanity, aren't they? So if I don't opt out, I can't have my organs. Oh, look, he had a car crash. He's still alive. No, he's not. The organs are worth more than him being alive, I think. Yeah, there could be a conflict of interest, because you wouldn't know, would you? Because private companies now are concerned with the health and social care. In fact, they can decide if the treatment's worthwhile. They could decide if vaccine damage has actually taken place, couldn't they? Yeah? And say, oh no, we don't think that your child is actually retarded from vaccine damage. You must have caused it. We're the social services. Group 4 security, arrest them. Now Group 4 security, provide a foster home. Now Group 4 security. So there's no conflict of interest. Except companies like Group 4 Security, behind the scenes, as an umbrella company, which means a big corporation that just owns other corporations, yeah, as a middle ground for, you know, more escape from liability, because that's what it boils down to. Human beings take actions and are liable for those actions, and when these groups and individuals acting for the groups are liable, then the whole body is taken as one thing. That's why they always use words like we do this and we do that, you know. And then they'll use words like if you, who's you? Are you talking to me? Use everybody, you, all of you. Tell me what you is really, because it's very, very vague language, right? Written specifically so as not to alarm you. You see, probably some of you may realise already the significance of what we've been trying to tell you all along, okay, and how all these things work together, right? We're now getting to the stage where we're actually getting the actual proof we've already known. It's just being put out in the open, okay? But let me tell you something. You see the laws that currently exist or existed at the time when they did the first lot of actions, such as SCR, you still have to give full disclosure. You still need my permission, yeah? These acts and statutes that require the consent of the governed to be given the force of law or be made lawful then, because, you know, they're saying you made a contract with us, you know, just like this. You're making a contract if you don't opt out. The real information should be full disclosure. They're not giving. They don't appreciate better information because they can't give you full disclosure. They're lying to you. It's clear as anything. If they weren't lying, what's wrong with full disclosure? What's wrong with knowing exactly what's going to be done with this information? Not just a case of, we'll only take the minimum amount of whatever and it's not identifiable. Rubbish. Load of rubbish. Right? What if you're the only person, what if you've got a rare disease, for example, and you know, only you've got it? Then that's clearly identifiable, isn't it? And there's lots of other reasons we can go into it. What about your own children? Do you think your children's going to appreciate you making these decisions right now and not opting them out and giving them a choice when they get older? Because maybe they don't want to be a part of Halliburton military, you know, that are buying up contracts left, right and centre. Why, I wonder? Is it because they're involved in the arms race and military weapons, like chemical weapons, etc.? Now, when I point out things like chemtrails, I'm asking a question. It's up to me, you and everybody to answer that question. I just want a simple answer, okay? I'm asking stupid questions because that, what you've seen, happened. And it's still continuing to happen, okay? So it strikes me that at this time, it's very fortuitous that everybody's taking their liability and putting it on a private company, which then goes and hides out in the shadow somewhere, leaves the person up front to face the brunt of the public wrath, when in fact this is how it's running, right? Hitler did the same thing. He told people, go and kill them Jews. He didn't pick up a gun and kill no Jew, not as far as I know, not as far as anything can ever show me. So the moral obligation for not following those orders was always going to be the person who actually did it. So there's no, oh, I'm ignorant that human right exists, or I'm ignorant that it's morally wrong for me to do that. Wrong is wrong, isn't it? And in fact, the more power you have, like these people, the more responsibility. They go hand in hand together. Power and responsibility. But they're not being fully responsible. It's childlike responsibility for people who claim to be the most elite educated people in the world. I think you've got to start asking yourself, who are the real educated people? Who are they? Who's prepared to help his fellow man? Right? Who's defending, looking after truth and justice? You know? Like I've said in the past, well, to those that know me anyway, the idea of the Superman back in the early days when he was first created as a comic book character. If you read those early stories, he was fighting corrupt landlords, corrupt government officials, normal, everyday people but he had superpowers. You understand? And the idea of the supervillain came much, much later and has, in fact, dominated the comic book scene. And this is actually a shout out to all those people who do work at Marvel and DC and all these other comic book companies, because their archetypal caricatures of good and evil permeate society and in fact make lots and lots of money. So therefore there's something resonating with the British public and the worldwide public at large. You know, the idea of good versus evil it's a story that's been here since the beginning. That's why I talk about the Bible. But you see, the problem with Superman and Spider-Man and Batman today is most of them are not dealing with any of the problems that really affect everyday people. Now, comics like to boast all the time and say we're maturing and we're growing up, but I don't actually see them as actually maturing in any way. I see them taking their content and putting the word adult on it, and then people think, oh yeah, you know, it's growing up now. But I think that what they really mean to stress the word is adult, as in sexual behavior, drug taking, or maybe something else that's maybe more suitable to an adult audience. So if that's where it's really at, I don't know, because these people are very, very far removed from our life and what's really going on for people. You know, because there is no better information than what you go and research for yourself. That's the truth. If you go and research for yourself, you find out the truth. Now, this is the problem that they've got with me. They don't like the fact that I know the truth, so they use everything that they can to try and stop me having a decent life. And by that I mean, if they control, say, a benefit or a tax or something that I'm entitled to by law, they're going to do their best to mess about with that. Right? And I have loads of proof of it. And the fact that when I ask them simple questions like, what does the law say is the minimum amount I'm entitled to live on by law? Well, I've got loads of documents that show that. Loads. What is the minimum amount I'm entitled to by law? You know, to live. And therefore, if it's that, if it's the minimum amount I'm entitled to by law to live, then lower than that is breaking that law, breaking the actual minimum standard. Even the word minimum to me suggests there's got to be a maximum. I'd like to know what the maximum is and why we could only apply for minimum amount. Why can't we get the maximum amount? You know, why is it? I've asked people this, right? People who I know who've adopted. Why is it that people who adopt can get, say, like £900 for that child, but parents who are in receipt of benefits may only receive a few £100, £200, £300, to suggest that, well, you know, what does human rights say? Human rights says we all have equal access to the same social security. So £200 and £900 are not equal, are they? Just like your benefit, your average benefit might be, I don't know, £40 if you're, you know, 16 or whatever, maybe going up to £70 or £80 depending on your age. So why is that not anywhere near this £900? Well, think about it, right? I mean, the child's stomach is not as big as my stomach, and I do want my children to be taken care of, you know, in the event, special events, you know, we're all working towards that. It's because we care. You know, the whole human race got to this stage because we care. Never mind social, just health and social. This word, care. Care. Caring. Carer. Not career. Care. The career is, it's like, you know, you care so much, like these people who have passion for their trade, you know, people who actually don't work, people who have their own business, let's say, people who have a career, they call it a career, but really it's because they care. They have a passion. Nothing wrong with passion. You know, passion got us all here, didn't it? You weren't born without passion. That's a fact. You know, we can't deny natural facts that stare us in the face, like think words like caring for people and what it means, to be cared for as a baby, as a child, and then to suddenly switch that around and say, oh, we're not going to do that, you're an adult now, we're going to stop caring, all of a sudden. What kind of lesson are you teaching people in the world? What are you really teaching people? That surely can't be right. You've got to ask yourself now, what is the point? So anyway, since I've found out this information, I see it as my duty of care to tell people, and speak about it. Surely I'm going to speak about it and say, have you received this? Because I got this through my letterbox. Did you get one? And some people say, yeah. Some people say no. And those that say no, I'm thinking, well, it seems funny that people in the inner city areas, the urban areas, the black areas, haven't received any of this. It's a total surprise to them. And, I hate the fact that I have to, well, hate's quite a strong word, but I don't like the fact that I'm having to carry this information, I feel guilty if I don't let you know what's going on. I'm going to feel guilty if I pass, some parents, mother and father, and they've got a little baby, and I've got kids as well. And I'm a humanitarian. I actually care about people. Never mind them care. I care. You know what I care about? I care about the truth. I care about you being as informed as I would want to be informed. I wish someone come to me early on and says, oh, did you know about this, Jules? Did you know? Did you know that they're going to sell you information, right, and break up the straw man that none of you thinks existed till, people told you there was a straw man, and it's a capital letters thing. Just like they'll complain about me writing capital letters. Why don't you complain about that? That's all capital letters. Do you know why they do that? There's a reason why they do that. There's a reason. There is a reason. Yeah, but, you have to ask, don't you? If you want to know the reason behind something, ask a question, right? Because when you ask a question, you get better information, don't you? Yeah, of course you do. Right, data extraction starts in spring 2014, but we're nearly in spring 2014 now. This is why I'm having to rush this all together. So I apologise, if it's not perfect, if it's not polished like the BBC. But you know what? I should be the entire BBC, because so far I've not seen any response by them. People actually pay for that information year on year, and yet that information they're receiving is pure bogus, isn't it? It's pure bogus, because this is going back from 2011. We was never given full disclosure then. We're not given full disclosure now, and it's only through using our own intellect and working it out and doing our own research, going on the internet, which you can all do. Go and look up these people, right? Then go and ask yourself some real questions, like who's really buying this? Is Halliburton buying it? Go and look. Is Forbes, who run military contracts in America, really buying it? Go and look. Yeah? Is it being sold to Group 4 Security? Go and look. Stop relying on me to just do everything. I want to see you people out there. There should be a floodgate of videos and things like this by now, right? It shows me that, it's beyond apathy, right? It's stupidity. Either you get it or you're too stupid to get it. And I'm sorry if you're too stupid, right? But I'm doing this for everybody, okay? All the children that haven't even been born yet. When you're born into this world, you don't know what it is, right? Thank God that we had some humane people who cared about families and things like that before us, that created such wonderful facilities, I suppose. Tending the garden. God said to tend the garden. Make sure you leave the garden for the next generation. We're all in the garden. Care is a very important part of it. Love is a very important part of it. But when they actually show they don't care, they don't love, they don't want you to talk about human rights, they don't want you to stand here and let anybody know about things that are public information. I'm not allowed to discuss this in the job centre. Behave. That's fascism, mate. Who gave you the impression that the world works like that? I think it's just a total lack of any godly discipline, a total lack of reading the Bible for themselves. They're a total disinterest. If I mention God to them, I could imagine them screwing up their face and going, "Ugh!" Like they want to vomit. Yeah? Oh, you can't learn anything from that, can you not? Huh? Am I just an alien and you're perfect, are you? Yeah? You're allowed to do whatever you like because you got a do whatever you like badge. We're Group 4 security. We'll just throw people out the building because they're asking questions about human rights. Well, our entire business, my money, just my money from Group 4 security is allowed. No one else is allowed a job. Yeah? Because going in the job centre looking for a job, oh no, that's not allowed. No. Because that's what I was there for, you know? I ain't got time to really mess around with these people. They want to, you know, make you work for them by having to opt out. I don't work for free. Do you work for free? Does anybody out there work for free? I want to know who these people are because I've got a load of stuff that needs doing if you work for free. If you're glad to work for free, come to me. I've got loads of work for you. All right? I don't know why you'd want to work for free if everybody else is getting paid. You know, just be fair. Just be fair. But I think they're being very unfair. And I think that it's time that people start to really recognise and exercise their inherent human rights. Yeah? And ask a question. Right? I'm asking questions. Some people probably get scared by the words or say, oh, you better not do that. Oh, they'll have you down as a troublemaker. I'm not making the trouble. There's nothing wrong with my life. But all of a sudden now they're saying, we're doing this. Right? And then, am I not supposed to read it? Am I not supposed to read when it says this leaflet contains important information about your health records? You and everyone who lives with you should read this leaflet carefully. Well, I have read it carefully. Carefully. I care. Care again. The word care. It is important that everyone knows how we share, protect, and use information about their health. About your health, mate. Come on. What if your health was going down and the government was responsible for, say, spilling some toxic waste? Okay, and then you've got a death panel that is working for their own interest, making money. They don't want people suing them. They want to make money. That's the name of the game. Making money. So, forget the care. Just make money, innit? That's what they're saying. That's all they want. That's all they're interested in. That's why they're, you know, oh, it doesn't matter if you give us permission. We're just going to take it anyway, because that's what mafias do, don't they? They just take things. They offer protection rackets and things like that and say, well, you know, you should have come to us. No wonder your door got kicked in. You need us, you know. But both the criminal and them are working for, you know, cutting the money up later and say, that was good work, that. I like the way you kick off doors. It gets me some jobs. I get to create these services that without the problem, the service isn't necessary, is it? So, in other words, if things like, I don't know, maybe doctors should prescribe healthy food. Lots of vegetables for you, mate. Some greens, that's what you need. And then people don't get sick. But do you think that's good for a company or people that are already making money by using that? It's like, you know, oh yeah, I'm Superman. What do you want? You know, what do you need? You want me to rob that bank? Yeah, I'll do that. I've got my superpowers. No one will know it's me, and I can blame someone else. Can't I? Yeah, Superman could really be evil. Well, look at who Superman fights in the comics. Does he ever look at the real life situations? Does he fight bedroom attacks? Does he speak these honourable words? Superman. Does he really? Is he a real Superman? You know, just the concept of him. It seems to me we've been given this Nietzsche stroke Hitlerian version now, where he's not really concerned with you're too unimportant. You're a mere mortal. You have to have at least superpowers before Superman would be bothered about bringing justice to your life. Do you understand? But the real life Supermen, people praise the firemen and the ambulance men all the time and the policemen. And, you know, it's good because those people are putting their lives on the line to try and bring some order and care and all the rest of it. Nothing wrong with care, but, you know, the laws are specific and they're just trying to tie us up in webs of deception and... It's very, very frustrating. That's why, you know, this will cause people stress, just this. Right? Because why am I even talking about it? I don't even want to talk to you about it, really. The world shouldn't be like this, yeah? But I'm not like those people who just ignores information. I'm not ignorant, to coin Mark Passio, right? I'm trying to do my due diligence and also my duty, okay? What do you want society filled with crazy people who don't care about things, don't care about... we're only at the stage of information here. I hear people talking about, oh, the government's corrupt, we'll just go fight them on the streets with whatever. That's the crazy talk. When you can read and write, then why not read and write first? Why not write to them first? Oh, look, there's an opt-out form, so we didn't have to go to war. There's that, but there's also other remedies. Because I don't work for free. I don't know about you, but there's no such thing as slavery. It's not allowed. And if there is such a thing as slavery, I want to know who's justifying that. Who's trying to justify slavery? Is the NHS? Huh? Is it Mr. Cameron? Who is it? Is it the doctors or the nurses or the benefits? Is it Ian Duncan Smith? All of the above? The council? Let me tell you something about the council, actually. The councils, in my opinion, have actually been quite all right. Out of all the supporters, the council has been very good. I have to commend the local council, as opposed to the national government, and as opposed to people at lower rank, people at the desk and things like that. They're the ones with some of the most stuck-up attitudes. Now, maybe it's because they're facing this day in, day out. Maybe the burden of the guilt is starting to grind at them and wear them down. But, don't do something where you feel guilty, I suppose. And we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. People say, oh, I'm not perfect. I shout. I have emotion. But do you know what? I'm trying to get to the right place. We're all trying to get to the right place. Peace, prosperity, happiness, universal care, and all the rest of it. But there's no universal one answer in the universe, is there? There's many answers. Just common sense teaches you that. Just like we can have diversity. There's diversity in answers. There's freedom everywhere. Everything is about freedom and truth and choice and love and, just being here. Sometimes there's just no problem. But, because we are so separated from nature itself, like, the food that grows in the garden, literally the blades of wheat, we're stuck at administration. Can you have the blade of wheat? Please, can I have a blade of wheat to eat? Oh, do we have a human right? We better write it down, because if we don't write it down, no one's going to realise that we have the right to eat. We have the right to do things. We have the right to protect our own interests. You need consent of the governed, okay? And you also need to be truthful, open and transparent, and you're not. Now, I'm hoping that there's those that work within your ranks that recognise what I'm saying as the truth, okay? Stop playing games, right? Because the level what most people are at now, right, is affidavit for everybody, okay? I mean, affidavit for everybody. I don't want it to be like that, because that's not my real purpose. Yeah, about admonishment. It's about recognising that when someone's doing these moral or immoral, I should say, things, and you are trying to guide them towards that morality, you say to them, hey, don't do that, and they raise themselves up, or they become stubborn or ignorant, but then all of a sudden, a bit of acid from the thing that they're doing flies over your direction, nearly burns your head off, and you're not going to say, hey, watch what you're doing, raise your voice. It now becomes a bit more imperative, doesn't it? They're looking at, don't raise a voice, at a certain decibel level, we have to throw you out. I just speak. This is how I'm speaking. They don't like when I speak like this. Oh, because you know why? Maybe the room goes quiet and they all start listening and wondering, what's this guy really trying to say? They come in right in your personal space, right in your face, to try and provoke a reaction. And I'm telling all of you, right, stop believing in the propaganda like it's Benefit Street. That's just some propaganda. That does not represent everybody. See me? Very studious. Very studious. I know things. I know how to write. I'm trying to get my business off the ground. You know why it's not off the ground so far? Because they keep trying to stop me from bringing it off the ground. That's not them doing their job. That's them having a conspiracy against me, using different departments. Okay? Now, because I'm writing to these people, they're going to fall out with me, aren't they? They're going to all get upset, some of them bosses, and they're going to tell their staff, don't do this or do this to try and, mess me up. Like children, like kids, they're not truly grown up, and that's the frustrating thing about it, because all of these things are being caused by them, like, oh, we'll sanction your benefit. Why? Because we made an appointment knowing that you're signing on at that time, and we didn't send you any information, but we're just going to assume this power of attorney or this power of law because you get your benefits of us. That's what they're allowed to do. They're abusing the system, and this is what I call it. Right? It is an attempted slow murder, right, of anybody that dares to question their system, right, based on things like the real laws. So if you go and look at the real law, it's almost like looking at Medusa. You're going to turn to stone, you'll die. They think, let's threat. Oh, he's looked at the real law. We've got to attack him now, haven't we? Got to attack him. These words are not really attacking words. They need to understand. I'm just stating my case and stating what it is. Fact. And if this isn't fact, respond to it. Because none of you can respond. Because I'm doing my proper research. Okay? Now, it's got to the stage where I did warn a lot of you that if you don't do your proper research, you're going to get problems. This is a massive one. Massive. What's more important than your health? Is money more important than being able to breathe properly, or, not having a broken leg, or, any whatever sickness? There's all kinds of sicknesses. What if it's in their interest now that once they got this information, these same companies that make the drugs, what if they just decide to turn and say, you know what? We're going to release a plague, and then we're going to make a load of money selling the cure, because they've got cures for things like smallpox and da-da-da-da-da. But, what if they just withheld that for money purposes? Like these health resource management people, health resource management, go online and read. Please stop relying on me, okay? Please start doing your due diligence. It doesn't really take much. You're still going to have to opt out of this unless you're a brain-dead moron, right, who doesn't care about anything. More fool you, right? I would make a bet because I'm that confident about it, but, I'm not like them trying to say, opt out. I could bring, an opt-out bet, and anyone who doesn't write to me has made a bet, and then when I win, I'll just go around and say, oh, didn't you see the opt-out bet? Yeah, well, it's your fault. You should have gone on my webpage. Yeah, you should have opted out. Now you owe me £1 million, sucker. Yeah, we could do it like that, like the same like they do. Why not? An opt-out bet. Listen, please be sensible. Please start asking the right questions. Okay? Stop being cowardly. Okay? If you care one jot about your children's future, you'll care about their health. Above all things, whatever they grow up to be, they could be gay, straight, Catholic, Protestant, whatever you think's there to divide us. If you don't really care about them physically, health-wise, boy, there is something wrong with you. There is something wrong. Patient or impatient, mental patient. This information is actually designed to try and mad you off because there's such a stack of it. There's too much, as you know. There's 63 million acts and statutes or more. And if I ask the judge, do you know all of them? I bet you he doesn't. I bet you couldn't quote them all. And do we have enough time on earth to quote all of those ridiculous, foolish ideas and principles that teach nobody nothing? You know what it teaches? The 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Is that simple? Do you get that? What does the law? Does the law actually agree with that? I think it does. Thou shalt not steal. Does the law agree with that? Go and look in the Bible, right? And go look at the actual law, right? Start there. Start to really open up your minds and stop being closed-minded and say, oh, the God that we've been given through religious purposes. I'm telling you now, that's not God. You'll find God if you alone go on the mission. You've got to go by yourself and ask the questions for yourself. Don't start asking everybody. Yeah. When you ask people, you'll get their opinion, but guess what? You're still going to have to go and research what they've said, unless you already knew it. So just look at what people say as a bit of advisement. That word's always being used. You know, when the police say, I'm coming, you know, to advise you on this and the law. Well, they don't have a license to practice law. To say what the actual law is, you know, you'd need someone who's really been qualified in the public office of giving that information. And what I'm finding is that more and more of these people, even the Prime Minister, doesn't really know. Before he's Prime Minister, what did he know? What does he know now? Does he have time to know 63 million laws, let alone write new ones? And are they really benefiting you? This better information means better profits for Halliburton and G4 Security? Is that what it's really about? Do you want others to take your property, make money off it, and even though you're entitled to that money by law, you decide to just let them have it because you're too lazy to actually write any of these notices? Even though people like me actually even give it for you. All you have to do is copy and paste it off my page, put your own name in, and Bob's your uncle. It's done. Wow. God so loved you that he put someone in the world that gave a damn. But do you even give a damn? You'll be asked this. You'll come back to this. You will come back to this. It's only a matter of time. I mean, 1 month. 1 month. Date of extraction starts in spring 2014. You will be extracted like the Borg. Yes, and you will be practiced on in many different ways. They love to practice, especially the people that like information, the megalomaniacs, who like your information because they really want to control. Information is power. You think it isn't? Go and look at films like Cloud Atlas, okay? Go and look at that film, right? Try and decipher it, because it's not clear like this. I explain things clear. That's probably why people have a hard time accepting it, because it's just like, bam, that's it. That's all there is to say. But, you know, when something's put in an allegory, like the Matrix is an allegory for behaviour, practices, the idea of being in a slavery system and how to get yourself out of slavery, how to escape, you know, the trap of being caught in the administration, forever a slave, and thinking, oh, I have to follow and go along with this. If I said to people, you have to give up your information to me now, do you think they'd do that? So what makes anybody any different? If I'm not obliged to even give my name to the police or anything, then who are these people? And if you're watching my videos seriously, you know, and you go back to the Travelling Man video, listen to what they're saying. Just listen, because that's the government telling you this, okay? I don't know how many different ways we need to say this. It's really, really simple. People are just, oh, but I get my wages, I go and do my job and all that. Great. But now they're doing this to everybody, including you. So you actually might be rich right now, in fact. But guess what? You might actually become poor because you didn't do your due diligence. You didn't write back to them and say, hold on a minute, whoa, this thing's going too far. This is actually treason. You can't just do that. What if you're a blind person? They send this notice, you're blind. You don't have eyes to see. You wouldn't have been informed, would you? And even if they sent you a Braille version, you might not even see it on the floor till the after it's happened. Too late. Oh, I wanted to be opt out. Oh, somebody's already sent the file off. Whoops-a-daisy. There's no letting the Pandora's box back in now. Pandora's box has been opened. What if you're mentally retarded and don't understand these words to the fullness, and even if they explain the words over and over and over, you're just incapable of understanding the implication of it? What is the implication of it? Oh, maybe it's, oh, you know, them people with Down syndrome, maybe they only live 40 odd years because, you know, it's a chromosomal deficiency. So it's not worth, if they happen to be 50 or whatever, you know, giving them any healthcare, because, you know, they're supposed to be technically dead, and we work off statistics. We're just the faceless morons that work off statistics and say there's a minimum amount, but never mind the maximum. Is it fair to give a lot of people £900 for fostering, and then other people 200, and then other people 100. Based on what exactly? What's it really based on? I'd like to know how they arrive at these numbers all the time. I'd like to know what is the thought process behind the blatant discrimination. They always tell you no discrimination is allowed, but I think this whole system suffers from inherent discrimination. It's inherent to the way they do things. You know, they can't be bothered to write to everybody and get their signature, and it might take 20 years for everybody to agree if they gave full disclosure. But there you go. No. And it's another way of saying, well, we didn't really know about that. Oh, we're sorry. We didn't know what's going to happen to your information. The newspapers, at least, are starting to wake up. Thank God for some brave editors out there. You have to really commend them. When they start doing the right things, you have to really commend the people that do it. If they're in the local council, commend them and say, well done. It's not just about, oh, these people, they're doing wrong and we hate these people. No. Right? Hate. Right? We wrestle with spiritual concepts such as good and evil. And even though these things arrive in human beings, the idea that we're wrestling with the concept of the idea of good and evil, that's what's important here. That's what's always important. People need to be able to listen. And if you've got a lot of information to share, such as I have, it takes time to find that out. It takes time. Now, I'm sorry my videos ain't, polished like the BBC, who claim millions. But imagine what I could do. Because I'm doing this off nothing. Please wake up. Okay? Do your due diligence as I have done. If you need help, ask me. I'll do what I can. Okay? I've spent a lot of time trying to help people realise their way through this, because it's clearly not right. You know it's not right because the law already says it's not right. So when the law says it's not right for them to do it and they do it just to get the law to now say they can do it, they've already broken the law to bring that law in. It's like how they pass bills in Parliament. Even the idea that it's a bill, it can be paid for then before it even goes through the Houses of Parliament, so it doesn't have to go through. It's like the bill is we're going to make you pay for this service. That's what it is. We're going to make you pay for this service. But if someone already pays for the service and cancels or zeros the account, then no money is due from the British public. And it's all being generated from companies like Halliburton, who are buying up your health details. Halliburton are creating weapons and war and destruction and smashing things so that construction can happen again. They want to blow up a building so they can build it back and have jobs. That's their solution. It's mental, innit? It's a mental solution. We haven't even begun to help people in third world countries. Why aren't we doing that? No, we're too busy destroying things. Destroying things that took long time to build. Talking about there's no discrimination. There's more discrimination than ever. I challenge every one of you to go and ask everybody about human rights and to tell people about this. You need to opt out. Because if you don't opt out, you've no idea what's going to happen to that information. And I'd say you're a fool. I'd say when they have broken a law so heinously, I'm not sure how you say that word. It's a gross insubordination. Breaches of trust. They're not telling us the truth. Why can't they just tell us the truth, the full truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help me God. What is it for? What is the NHS for? Find more effective ways of preventing and managing illnesses. Really? Well, some people maybe want to volunteer for that. There used to be a place where people could have medical experiments, and they'd submit their DNA or they'd go on tablets and then they get paid for that. Right? I don't see so much of that about now. Maybe it's because they knew that these will be created and they'll just grab your blood type and your everything else DNA that they've been taking since you was a baby and do it for nothing now. So thank you very much, you ignorant public, you. we're going to make millions off your kidneys on a piece of paper, or we're going to take your blood and we're going to sell that and have some company manipulate the DNA, and then they'll probably change one of the proteins in it and copyright that as a brand new organism that they own, and then your child is born with that exact genotype, and guess what, they could turn around and say, oh, we own your child now because, yeah, we've copywritten it. The law allows us to legally take your child because we own the copyright of the DNA. Do you think it's not possible? 10 years from now, 20 years, 100 years, you put a figure on it, because I think it's possible now. I think they're doing it now. Go and look on the internet and see if there's any web pages anywhere in the world that say that's what they do. It's another one of them opt-out bets. Yeah, I'll do an opt-out bet again. Only joking, but yeah, because I'm not interested in your money. I'm interested in you waking up. Wake up. Right? Those who really care about humanity, right, go that extra mile for you. And I go that extra mile so that you can get real information. Okay, it's not enough to just say, oh, well, I've watched a few Freeman videos and I know this and all that. The only way you're going to get remedy, is to do your notices. These things are recordings now and are noticed. It's a way of collecting your thoughts. You know, when you get stressed and that, I love it when they stress me out, because then I start writing. They've actually given me something to write about, haven't they? You know, everybody needs their muse. Everybody needs their inspiration. And their actions, because I'm a good person in my heart, I'm not perfect, but I'm a good person. I'm a good person in my heart. Their evil inspires me to speak out against it. I can't do anything else, really. That's a good thing. I wouldn't be showing them good behaviour, would I? If I just get violent, or if I just start, rampaging. And I feel sorry for them people that are up at the fracking site. I have to, say a big thank you to everybody that is, doing the same thing diligently for other people. That's the real drive. We do it for free. We're doing it for free. The police who are paid for it, and the NHS who are paid for it, and everybody, the government who are all paid for it, they don't actually care. And they're paid, and they've got no reason whatsoever to feel grievance for having to do their own job. None, because it's all paid for already. They should be free and happy as Larry and enjoying it, if they really, really care. But they don't really care. It's just a job. It's just a job. I think the people that should have those jobs are the people that really care. The people that prove they will do the research, they'll go the extra mile, and they'll do things lawfully. They're not going to cause problems later on, because they're assuming that everyone's going to stay ignorant. Nobody's going to write an affidavit. Nobody's going to sue the first government or the first prime minister or the first corporation or whatever. Everyone thinks it can't happen. Yeah? Look at Michael Doherty. Listen, they can say what they like. He knows exactly what he's talking about. I've seen the videos myself. And it's something that should be answered for. Using public services against us continually is fascism. Those that don't like to hear that, those that are scared, right, are the same kind of people that when Germany became fascist, quickly ran and got a brown shirt and joined up without thinking what this actually really is. And maybe they had an excuse for some of their naivety because there wasn't so much television and internet and things like that. But you see, we got all of that today. So what is the real excuse for still being ignorant or nescient or whatever? There's no nescience because the information is widely available. You got the library, free internet there. You've got books. You've got all the resources available to you. Right, going back to what Kev said the other day, and I want to explain what I meant by people are lazy and what Kev meant by no is because they lack the information. We're both right. What I'm saying is those that don't do this are lazy. Right? Kev's saying this isn't available. I'm saying go on my webpage. I'm saying if you need help, I'll help you. So it is available. But it's accepting that action must be done to change the fact of that, to make the opting out process happen, you have to do something. Clearly, simple common sense. So don't get upset just, by the message. Don't get upset with the messenger either. I didn't say this. They said that. They said it. Simple as that. I'm saying that. I want to know. I want to know. Go and do your own research. You'll probably find way more. I know there's way more. But, I'm not a slave to them. If they can't even answer these basic ones, you know what I mean? Feel sorry for them. Really do. We have human rights, man. We have human rights. Human rights. Okay? Love is the law. It's as simple as that. Okay? We all make mistakes, but let's try to correct the mistakes continually. Through admonishment, through writing, through talking, through debating. Okay? Just as they wanted to rush in and blow up Syria, and then it was stopped and brought to a halt, and they said, no, we must debate. Great decision. When they made that decision, as much as I was saying to them, you're bad and this and that for trying to make the first decision, when they made a good decision, I said, you're good now. Recognising the good that they do is as important, if not more important, than the bad they do. But there has to be remedy and redress. Okay, they get a job, and for their doing their job, if they're doing their job badly and they're causing problems to people and they're making work for you that doesn't have to be done, because we're not in a slavery system. Workman is worthy of his hire. Okay, and if you set your own fees, because you're entitled to, I don't work for nothing. I've had to do this work just to say, well, look, it's not just a case of opting out, because something else. What if that form I give you gets lost and you still end up giving this information? Or what if you're really a bad person and we'll do that anyway? Am I not allowed to ask what if? Are you allowed? Because I'm tired of asking for you. I think you people out there really got to ask for you. I want you to go out there and ask somebody, what are my human rights? Even if you know them, go and see what they know about them. Ask them what their human rights are. See if the ones that you're asking like that information or don't like it. And look at my human rights video again, where I'm talking about, in the hospital itself, where they're trying to change human rights. Better information means better changes, better disguises, We can hide it in careful language so as not to seem like we're breaking human rights, when in fact we are. Everyone has the right to love the UN, according to the hospital's versions of human rights. What a load of self-congratulatory, pat myself on the back for being the UN and the World Health Organization. World Health. Yeah, because it is about standardization, and guess who'll be leading it? Guess what Agenda 21 says? Agenda 21 contained this information. Who's telling you about it, and who's telling you about it? Have you bothered to look it up yet? If not, why not? When are you putting it off to? Eh? Oh, it's just, I see, you're a coward. Oh no, lazy. Stupid. What? What is it? What are you? Are you lazy? Are you stupid? You don't care? If you're watching it, I suppose you must care. But for those people that are just not acting for themselves, anyone can type, go to school, learn to write. If you can't type, get someone to type it. Come on, man. There's no excuse. The technology exists, and it's available for a lot of people in this country. And for those that don't have access to the technology, we also have the duty to help those people. That's where the human rights things come in. So if I'm mentioning to the job centre about human rights and they're screwing their face up and shaking with fear almost, either it was with anger or with fear. Either one to me was like, well, how can the mere mention of the word human rights make you tremble like that? Get you either angry or that type of emotional response? I'm just asking, do I have a human right or not? I'm not interested in that. That's what I'm being told. They're not interested in human rights, but they've got public offices. Don't you think it would be essential, a core belief, if you will, a core fundamental reasoning that they recognise what human rights are to do that job in any way? Don't you think it would be fundamental for them to know what trust is? They talk about care, and then they get, their version of care is to punch you in the face. To lie. I care about you, bro. I'm lying. I care about you, bro. I'm not telling you the truth. Is that caring? Is that friendship? Is that genuine? I pray for all of you. Pray for them as well. They need to start recognising. We all do. Okay. Peace. Do your due diligence. Do your own research. Okay. And hopefully we can resolve all of this peacefully, with love, and we'll get what we really want, which is for things to improve. If you don't care, how do you expect their care to improve? If you don't care. It's all about caring. Peace.